Leon couldn't believe Rosweiss was already in bed so early. He silently thought, "Is Rosweiss already asleep?" With a puzzled expression, he quietly climbed onto the bed, wanting to confirm if Rosweiss had truly drifted off. When he saw Rosweiss's closed eyes, he slowly relaxed his guard. After noticing that she made no further movements, a gloating expression spread across Leon's face. "Great. I won't have to endure her tonight." After all, just moments ago, Isa had urged him to return to his room to accompany Rosweiss, with the unspoken understanding that as long as she fell asleep, anything else would be irrelevant. Rosweiss lay flat on the bed, one hand resting outside the blanket. Her expression was serene, and she was sleeping soundly. Leon rarely saw her so still in bed. Usually, she would pester him until midnight, making it difficult for him to fall asleep. He gazed at her sleeping face and silently mused. "Although we are adversaries, I have to admit she looks truly beautiful when she's asleep." Suddenly, Leon seemed to notice something. A faint purple light appeared to emanate from Rosweiss's chest. Although the blanket partially obscured it, the glow was still quite noticeable. However, Rosweiss didn't seem to feel anything unusual. Leon looked at the purple light with surprise. This made him feel very uneasy. Why is her chest glowing? Could it be that the dragon mark has been activated? Leon covered his face with both hands, a scared expression washing over him. He inwardly cried out, shaking his body back and forth in great fear. Because as long as the dragon mark is activated, it means that Rosweiss will seize me again and unleash her emotions fiercely upon me, just like before. He could already imagine another sleepless night stretching before him. At this moment, Leon noticed a detail. "No, my dragon mark isn't resonating. What's going on?" Since Rosweiss's dragon mark had supposedly been activated, his own should also be in an active state. However, he lowered his head and looked at his chest, only to find that his dragon mark showed no signs of glowing. He tugged at his clothes and peered inside carefully, then repeatedly caressed his chest. After this series of actions, he was able to confirm that his dragon pattern had indeed not been activated. Leon felt very peculiar about this. To avoid waking Rosweiss, he gently pulled down the blanket covering her, wanting to ascertain if she truly had dragon patterns on her chest. Just then, he saw her holding a dragon doll with a purple light in her right hand. She had placed the doll between her breasts. As long as she covered herself with the blanket, her chest would appear to be glowing. Suddenly, Rosweiss, who had been feigning sleep, opened her eyes. She looked at Leon with a smile and greeted him. "Hi." Leon turned his head and realized that Rosa had been awake the entire time. He was stunned for a moment. He now understood that she was playing a trick. She had been pretending to be asleep since he entered, just to give him such a surprise. Leon was very angry about Rosweiss's prank. He didn't find this jest amusing at all. He angrily lifted her blanket and shouted loudly at her. "What are you doing? Why did you hide the light bulb under the blanket? You scared me half to death." After showering, Rosweiss changed into a very cool and breathable purple nightgown. Since Leon had discovered her ruse, she stopped pretending to be asleep. She knelt on the bed, one hand supporting herself and the other holding the glowing doll to show Leon. She shook the doll and looked at Leon with a smug expression on her face. "I just found it in the small toy pile in the wardrobe. I thought it was quite interesting, so I'd use it to tease you." She was particularly pleased with his reaction. Seeing Leon's strong response, Rosweiss narrowed her eyes slightly and said to him in a mocking tone, "What's up? Judging from your reaction, do you think it's a pity?" Upon hearing Rosweiss's words, Leon's face instantly flushed red. He hadn't had that kind of thought about Rosa just now. He tightly closed his eyes, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and turned his head to the side. He didn't want her to see his expression at that moment. He stammered, "No, I'm going to sleep. Don't talk to me." To avoid Rosweiss continuing to speculate on his thoughts, Leon planned to end the conversation directly. He angrily wrapped himself tightly in a blanket and lay on the bed with his back to her. He closed his eyes, feigned sleep, and refused to continue chatting with her. Upon seeing Leon's behavior, resembling an escape, Rosa found him very amusing. She narrowed her eyes slightly and sat behind him, taunting him. Rosweiss hadn't decided to put down the doll yet. She held it in one hand and propped herself up on the bed with the other, slowly leaning against the headboard. She felt very happy to have successfully pranked Leon. Although he had just said those words to her, based on her past experiences of several nights, she didn't quite believe that he would truly restrain his inner impulse. She sat against the pillow with her eyes closed and said to him with a proud smile, "You better not regret this, and come attacking me at midnight." At the same time, Rosweiss's arm accidentally brushed against a decoration on the headboard, but she didn't pay it any mind. She was unaware of what would happen next. For some unknown reason, a black spider hanging from a thread suddenly descended from the ceiling. Rosweissa opened her eyes and turned her head. Staring at it for a while, she didn't comprehend what was appearing before her. Then the black spider moved its legs as if waving a greeting to Rosweissa. It slowly approached her. At this moment, Rosweissa saw that what had fallen in front of her was not something else, but a moving spider. She stared stiffly at the spider, her expression immediately transforming into fear. Rosweissa let out an ear-splitting scream. Leon, who had been feigning sleep, heard her voice and immediately threw off the blanket and sat up. He thought something had happened to Rosweissa. He turned his head and asked in surprise, "What? What's the matter?" Rosweissa was so terrified that she flung away the doll. She immediately threw herself into Leon's arms and reached out her hands to tightly embrace him. Leon knelt on the bed, looking down at Rosweissa. He didn't know what had occurred that had made her so scared. Rosweissa was curled up in Leon's arms, her body pressed tightly against his. She tightly clutched Leon's clothes. Leon could feel Rosweissa's body trembling slightly with fear. She lifted her head, her eyebrows furrowed, and there were still some tears in the corners of her eyes. She looked at him with pitiful eyes and stuttered, "There is a spider." Leon lowered his head, saw Rosweiss's trembling form, and realized why she was so scared. He remembered that in the family photo album that Isa had given him tonight, he had seen a photo of her crying from being frightened by spiders when she was a child. Now, the scene was exactly the same as in the photo. He silently thought, "When I was looking at the photo album today, I seemed to recall a photo of Rosa crying when she was scared by spiders as a child. Is this a lingering fear from her childhood?" Leon couldn't help but chuckle. He never expected that the awe-inspiring Silver Dragon Queen would be afraid of a spider smaller than her hand. "Ha. The Silver Dragon Queen also has things to fear. All right, let me help you catch it." Leon comforted Rosweissa while slowly moving towards the spider and reaching out to grab it. Rosweissa was hiding behind Leon, watching the spider from a distance. She tightly held on to his clothes and urged him to get rid of it quickly. Hurry up! She didn't want this spider to appear before her again. After Leon caught the spider, he suddenly felt that something was amiss. He picked it up and observed it closely, noticing that this spider seemed a bit different from ordinary spiders. He looked at it in surprise and exclaimed, "This is really big.